If you come across these 11 NPCs in Pokemon, do not underestimate them. First, we're going to be starting off with Psychic Inver. Now Pokemon usually make sense, fire beats grass, water beats fire, you know the drill. Then there's Psychic Inver, who flips everything upside down with inverse battles. In Pokemon X and Y, after you go inside the inverse house, the entire type chart is practically useless because weaknesses become resistances, and immunities vanish completely. You'll find yourself attacking a grass type with water type moves, or desperately avoiding ghost type moves against a normal type. It's a complete mind bender, and unless you sit there and calculate which weaknesses are actually strengths, you'll probably lose the battle. After this, we're moving on to Commander Mars. Now Commander Mars is an absolute nightmare in Pokemon Diamond and Pearl if you choose Piplup. And I'm not even exaggerating. By the time you reach Valley Windworks, you've got a Prinplup maybe a couple random root Pokemon, and zero solid answers about what she's about to throw you into. First, her Zubat is annoying enough with Toxic, because she uses it almost every move, poisoning your entire team. And then she has a ridiculously fast, underleveled Purugly sitting at level 16, just waiting to ruin your day. This thing outspeeds everything and slaps you with Fake Out on turn 1 and then proceeds to spam Feint Attack, which it never misses. It somehow hits like a truck and tanks like it has EVs maxed out. And your Piplup or Primplup, practically useless, and anything you've caught so far is probably going to be knocked out by it. Unless you have a fighting type move, get ready to be in for a long battle against this Purugly. After this, we have the Winstrate Family. In the Hoenn region, there's a unique challenge awaiting you on Route 111, the Winstrate Family. Now this isn't just one NPC, this is a family of 4. The father, Victor, the mother, Victoria, the daughter, Vivi, and the grandmother, Vicky. They all invite you to a series of consecutive battles, but the thing is, between these battles you do not have any breaks for healing. That's what makes them so dangerous in a Nuzlocke or a hard run. Starting with Victor, each family member presents a progressively tougher opponent, and some of their Pokemon can inflict paralysis and other status conditions, adding an extra layer of difficulty. Now out of the 4, the grandmother Vicky probably has the toughest Pokemon, and she's probably going to be the one to defeat you if you underestimate her. Now if you thought after beating Vicky your issues with the Winstrate family were over, you'd be wrong, because the eldest son Vito is actually absent during your encounter with them because he's off pursuing his own journey to become a Pokemon trainer. You eventually do encounter him deep within Victory Road, where he stands as a cool trainer, and basically he's actually the real toughest member of the family, and he is here to seek revenge against you for embarrassing his folks. Now the next one you should especially be careful with underestimating because it could permanently lock you in an unwinnable situation. I'm talking about the rival battle you have with Barry in Pokemon Diamond and Pearl in Hearthome City. Basically what happens is the moment you try to leave south of Hearthome City, your rival ambushes you with no warning, and if your team is weak, you're kind of stuck because there's no wild Pokemon to train against, there's no trainers to battle, and no way to gain experience unless you can trade for a stronger Pokemon. So if your party is underleveled or injured from previous fights, you're forced into a battle you literally cannot win. The only way out? You keep on losing repeatedly until your team is somehow strong enough to get past them, or you figure out a strategy that works. If you can't do that, you'll have to restart from an earlier save. Thankfully, Pokemon Platinum fixed this by moving the rival battle to the guardhouse between Hearthome and Route 209, allowing players to backtrack and train. But in Diamond and Pearl, if you're unlucky enough, your only option is to keep on taking the L. After this we have Team Rocket admin Petrel. Petrel seems like an easy fight at first, but in a Nuzlocke he can be an absolute disaster waiting to happen. You battle him in Team Rocket's hideout in Mahogany Town, where he sends out 5 coughing and a wheezing, all of which know self-destruct. And that's where the problem lies, because that's 6 chances for you and your Pokemon to get wiped out instantly. If you don't have a ghost type like Ghastly or Mischievous or something on your team that can avoid it, your team's almost guaranteed to go down. The worst part of this is that you can't predict when they'll explode. Sometimes they just go for normal attacks, lure you into a false sense of security, and then they suddenly explode, taking out your best Pokemon. If you underestimate Petrel or head into this battle unprepared, you're in for a rough ride because unless you use Protect or just keep on flying up or digging down, you're not going to be able to escape the self-destructs and you're probably going to lose. Next up we have Volo. Now Volo in Pokemon Legends Arceus is brutal if you're going in blind. Even if you know he's a boss, you're probably still not ready for how ridiculous this fight gets. You battle his full team of 6 Pokemon, all comfortably sitting at around level 68, including Garchomp, Togekiss, and Hisuian Arcanine. And if that wasn't enough, you have a boss battle with Giratina literally straight after that, so this little encounter with Volo might be one of the toughest NPC battles you'll ever face. Moving on from that, we go to Reflection Cave in Pokemon X for Battle Girl Hedvig. Now, Battle Girl Hedvig looks harmless enough, she's just a battle girl, but she's secretly waiting to ruin your life, especially if you're running a Nuzlocke. She only has 2 Pokemon, and while that may seem easy enough, she has a level 25 Throw and a level 26 Hawlucha, which at that point in the game is much stronger than any of your Pokemon. If you allow her Hawlucha to get off one Flying Press on you, it's going to take your Pokemon to 0 HP ASAP. I mean, this fight is ridiculously hard, and if you don't have overleveled Pokemon or healing items, you're done for. The Reflection Cave might look nice, but if you take the wrong turn, you're in for a rough surprise. After this, we have Whitney from Pokemon Gold and Silver. In case you haven't played those games, Whitney looks like probably the most weak Pokemon trainer because she has pink hair, she's the normal type gym leader. I mean, how hard can normal types be, really? But she has one Pokemon that will make you run for the hills, her Milk Tank. On paper, it's just a Milk Tank, it's just a normal type Pokemon, but because of its move Rollout, it becomes one of the most infamous battles in the entire game. Rollout starts as a weak move, but every turn it slowly gains power until it spirals out of control and you can't interrupt it and it knocks you out in one shot. And when you finally lower Milk Tank's health enough, it will use Milk Drink, which basically raises its HP to max and cancels out all status effects. Milk Tank is also surprisingly bulky, shrugging off Moat's Hiss with extreme ease, and it leaves you frustrated and scrambling for a strategy. After this, we have Hapu in Pokemon Sun and Moon. Now, Hapu isn't the hardest battle in the game, but if you rely on physical attackers, she turns into a massive headache. As Pony Island's Kahuna, she specializes in ground-type moves, and her Pokemon Mudsdale is the real problem. Its ability Stamina raises its defense every single time it gets hit by a physical move. So if you're just spamming physical attacks, you're actually making it harder to take down. Before you know it, she heals up, and Mudsdale is essentially impenetrable. It takes everything like a brick wall, and your Pokemon are barely scratching it. On top of that, it hits back with high horsepower, which deals heavy damage and punishes anything weak to ground. If you didn't bring special attackers or any way to lower its stats, this fight will drag on for a long time. Even if it's not a run-ending battle, this is one of those fights where you want to be prepared for it and you don't want to overly rely on one type of Pokemon. Now, while we've covered gym leaders on this list, the next 2 spots are reserved for the hardest NPC battles that you're most likely to underestimate their strength. First, we have veterans Sinan and Rosaline. At the end of Pinwheel Forest in Pokemon Black and White 2, you will face these veterans, and this is easily one of the hardest double battles in the entire series. They start with Crobat and Ludicolo. Crobat immediately sets up Rain Dance, activating Ludicolo's Swift Swim ability, which doubles its speed, and then Electivire comes out to abuse the rain with perfectly accurate Thunders. If you survive that, Crobat can set up Sunny Day, boosting Magmortar's fire moves and activating Leafeon's Leaf Guard ability. So all their Pokemon kind of work in tandem with each other, boosting each other and helping each other, and prevent status effects. The constant changing of the weather also makes this an especially tough battle, and I'm actually surprised by how well they coordinate. I mean, this seems like almost 2 real players playing together. Now finally, at the number 1 spot, we have veteran Shaun in Challenger's Cave. Now, as we all know, the toughest trainers in Pokemon are located at secluded spots, like for example, the battle with Red on Mount Moon. But in this case, we're going all the way to Pokemon Black and White to face veteran Shaun. Shaun hides in the shadows at Challenger's Cave on the lowest floor. And his lineup isn't just strong, it's practically competitive level. It has Pokemon like Gyarados, Snorlax, Excadrill, Crobat, and Druddigon. He has a full team of 6. Each Pokemon is carefully chosen for type synergy, raw power, and they're extremely over-leveled. They cover all the bases, all the types, and Shaun's team genuinely feels something straight out of a competitive battle, or something out of the battle tower. He forces you to use heals, use status moves, X attacks, X defenses, whatever you can to survive his onslaught. And if you unsuspectingly walk into him on Challenger's Cave, the first thing you're probably going to do afterwards is see Nurse Joy, because he's taken at least 4 of your Pokemon down with you. Anyway, those were NPCs you should not underestimate in Pokemon. If you liked the video or enjoyed it, please give a like, subscribe, and thumbs up, and also comment down below what you thought. I'll see you next time. Peace out.